That's this week's monkey news.
Oh, chimpanzee, that monkey news!
There was this airline, and it's having a lot of problems, and a lot
What,
of
pilot's too tall?
Yeah, the cabin was so tiny.
Only bananas were allowed in the cockpit for fuel.
Anyway, there was a lot of strikes going on, right?
Sure.
Because I don't know what it was about. It was over money or whatever.
Yes.
And
Well, get something that doesn't need money.
yeah, but
Well,
But what else could you pay something in,
well,
Rick? I mean,
peanuts.
everyone would.
So-
Okay, peanuts or fruit, yeah.
so anyway, the boss of the airline, he had like one pilot who he could trust, right? And that was his son.
Right.
But the problem is with a lot of these planes, you need two pilots.
Of course you do.
And he's like, if only I had two sons, but he didn't. There's no point harping on about it. Right?
Sure.
He runs an airline.
He runs an airline, yeah.
But how many pilots are there? Because there must be loads.
No, there's loads, but the problem is a lot of them are going on strike.
Ah.
And each week you can see that we're struggling here. We
But how
haven't
can they?
got
But
enough
if
pilots.
but it was just the pilots that were striking, was it?
Yeah, the pilots were striking, yeah.
So that all the ground staff and luggage handlers and all that was okay in the cave.
They were fine, it's just pilots
Right.
were not happy
Pilots.
with the deal and what have you.
Yeah.
Well, just close it down.
No
Anyway,
way, you can't do that,
no,
Rick.
I can't-
Of course
you
it's
can't
costing
do
him a
that.
fortune if he closes it down.
Yeah, but what one plane's not going to make a difference in an airline, is it?
No, it's all the
It's all the
planes.
planes, mate.
Yeah, I know exactly. So if he's only got one person he can trust, knock it on the head.
No. What's the point? You've got to keep going. You can't just nip stuff in the bud like that. If you got a dream, keep it alive.
I know, but not with one plane and your son.
So anyway,
I don't know.
Well, but that's the least of his problems, Rick, because he's got his son who's a brilliant pilot, he's the only guy he can trust, but it takes two people to fly.
Well, you can't fly then.
so the son, he's flying the planes and that. He's getting worried for his dad because of his business. It's falling
Sure.
apart. He's like, anyway, listen.
Well, one plane won't make any difference.
Don't worry about it. We've found someone who you can work with.
Okay.
And he's like, but I get past the picket line because, they know I'm your son anyway and they'll leave me alone. But any other pilot, they're going to start giving him grief.
They're tearing him to shreds, yeah.
He said, don't worry about it.
Unless he could swing over the heads of all the strikers.
He said he's staying over near the sort of quarantine area where
Oh,
all
yeah.
the animals are kept
Oh,
and
yeah,
stuff.
right, okay.
They won't be looking in there. They won't bother.
No.
So he's like, all right.
There's no animal that could be a co-pilot, that's why.
I'll see you. He'll meet up with you in the cockpit.
He'll be out in the cockpit, yeah, sure.
So anyway, he gets in there, he meets them. At first, a little bit of a shock who he's going to be working with, but
Why?
he's thinking, as long as I can keep my dad's business alive, I can
Not with
keep a
one
job.
plane. Not
So,
with one plane.
anyway, what happens is, the strike's going on, he's flying, he's
Yeah.
got his mate with him flying, helping out.
Who's his mate? What's his
The
mate's
flights,
name?
the flights are brilliant, right? Everybody's loving them. They can't believe how smooth they are.
Sure.
The shares are going through the roof. Everybody's like wanting to
Because
fly.
this one plane they've got.
That wouldn't make any difference.
Everyone's saying, it's only a small plane, but it's worth getting on there.
And
if
it's
you
a
can.
small plane as
because
well.
it's a great
Oh,
experience.
gone under, I'd have thought. There's
So
no
anyway-
way they can keep that alive.
Apparently they can.
So they're keeping
Yeah.
this plane up in the air and what have you, and everybody's booking the holidays. It's almost like the favourite bit of the holiday. They're loving the flights that much.
Why?
It's just because it's really good flights.
Just
I
a great,
don't
just a great
understand
flight.
what difference
Apparently it's a great flight.
It makes.
It's
I don't
dynamite.
So
understand
anyway,
what difference it makes.
Everyone's happy. Then one day, what happens is a little bit of a problem.
Oh dear. You're not going to tell us that sort of co-pilot Coco he's not able to make it to work, is he?
Well, what happened is one woman who was on the plane got a bit peckish, right?
Right.
And said to the air hostess woman, said, "I'm a little bit peckish. Have you got any sort of nibbles and that?" She went, "No, I got a sandwich." She said, "I don't really want a sandwich. You want some, like the usual stuff that planes give out, just like a bag of nuts or something."
Well, have they not given those out yet?
So no, they don't give it for some reason. She was like, "Look, we've stopped giving out the nuts. We can get you a
That's
sandwich."
strange,
And the woman was
yeah.
like, "I don't want a sandwich. I just want some nuts." Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
A sandwich is quite a big meal and what have you. I just want some nibbles, want some nuts.
Well, that's not available. Done. End of
Can't
story.
get your nuts. She said, "Well, why aren't there any nuts?" She said, "Well, the airlines had problems and stuff, and maybe that was one of the cutbacks. We've never took the nuts back on."
Yeah, sure.
So she wouldn't just leave it. She wanted the nuts, right? She's having a lovely flight and everything. She said, "I cannot complain about the flight. The
No,
flight
sure.
is brilliant.
Yeah.
Whoever's up there flying this plane is doing a
She's
dynamite
doing a
job.
great job, but I need some nuts."
Right.
Anyway, so the woman
There
said,
aren't any.
"There aren't
Very
any nuts."
demanding woman.
There aren't any.
It's a very demanding woman.
There aren't any.
Look, she's paid big money, right? She's probably in first class. She wants nuts, she's going to get
Nah,
nuts.
there aren't any. Leave it.
If she has to force her way into the cabin to get nuts, she's going to get
Well,
nuts.
she can't go there because she'll be shot. Because
So-
with security problems and that, there's no way she could ever go to the cockpit. That would never happen.
So she said, "Well, you're saying there aren't any nuts." She said, "But earlier I saw you put a tray outside the cockpit, right? It had a sandwich on it, 2 Cokes and 2 bags of nuts."
Right.
She said, "So you're saying there aren't any, but the pilot's getting
Well,
them."
aren't they now? That was the last 2 packets. Done.
No. So
Let's go home.
So she's going, you can't have any.
We know, we understand now there's a dispute over
So
nuts.
she said, well, I'll go and have a word with the pilot myself because you only put them out there a few minutes ago. You can't have eaten them yet. I want some.
You
I'm
cannot
going
go,
over.
no.
I know this is it. She was saying you cannot go over. She's going, listen, I'm going to go over because I feel like I'm being lied to.
No, you can't.
So she goes, and the pilot can hear all this chat about the nuts and what have you, and he's thinking, what's going on out there?
Yeah.
He opens the door.
Yeah.
Right? She gets a glance in. Little monkey sat there with headphones.
Fucking bollocks.
Right. Ages ago, right, about the 1950s,
Oh yeah.
there was this gangster knocking about. And do you know, like,
Was he called Hairy Fingers?
do you know, like, a lot of gangsters like to get into gambling and that?
Yeah.
And, you know, like, all these peers and that, all these mates who are, like, gangsters and stuff, they've all bought horses, right, that they take racing and they make money from them and that, don't they?
Yeah.
So anyway, he
And
was
Shackles the Seagull was no different.
And he was like, yeah, that's a good thing to get into. I might get into a bit of that, right? So he gets himself this horse, right? And there's a big race coming up. That's why he's a bit of a last minute.
And the jockey turns up and it's fine. He's a human jockey and it's fine. Excellent. Okay, well that was another podcast.
So anyway,
please listen.
Oh, hang on,
next.
there's more.
Oh, go on.
So anyway, this big race is coming up. He's like, I've got to be involved in this because
definitely.
I can make a lot of money out of my horse here.
Choose the jockey wisely then.
So he says to his mate, he said, look, I've got myself a horse and that. He said, we just need a jockey, get someone to sort it out and what have you, so I can get in this race.
Go to the jockey club.
His mate's like, yeah, all right, I'll have a word and that, have a look round and that, see if there's anyone decent.
And the good thing about jockeys is there's never been a shortage of jockeys because a lot of them don't make the grade. So there's always too many jockeys to go round.
Always too many human jockeys.
Yeah, there's never a problem getting jockeys.
Fine.
Go on.
So anyway, he comes
Was that
back.
true in the 50s as well?
It's always been true.
always been true. It's always
It's
just wanted to clarify
There's no lack of jockeys.
So-
it's sort of close shot. People are trying to do it and they don't make the grade. So,
But in the 50s, from your knowledge, there was not, like in 1951, a shortage of jockeys for just 1 year.
absolutely never. I've known about
Okay,
that.
fine,
I'm quite
yeah.
keen.
Right.
Go on.
So anyway, right. So his mate says, look, I'm having a problem getting a jockey.
Seems odd because
this
Ricky's
is
just
weird.
been saying,
No.
he's just been saying there's not a problem.
What do you mean? So,
Just because the main problem was,
Go on.
a lot of jockeys were aware of this gangster and were saying, I'm not getting involved with this guy. The chances are I won't get paid. You know, he's a gangster. It's not worth
you
it.
would do it if it was a gangster asking you. You'd be scared of the consequences.
So anyway, he's saying, look, don't be coming to me with problems and that, right? I've got the horse. I want it in the race. Sort it out. So they're like, oh, but boss. And he's like, don't give me any of that. Don't
exactly.
sort it out.
They do what he says. So any jockey would do it. Go on.
So anyway, so the day before,
The big race, yeah. Left it to the last minute, okay, but
yeah,
fine.
and he says, have you got a jockey then? They're like, yeah, but, and he's going, don't worry about it. Have you got a jockey? Yeah, but, and he's like, well, look.
He wants
what-
to say, sure, yeah.
So,
they were like-
he's saying, has he ridden their horses before and that? He said, well, yeah, he has, but mainly, and he's like, brilliant. And he goes, yeah, but mainly in like a circus.
in the jung...
No, like in the circus and that. He'd worked with horses and stuff.
In the
apparently.
circus,
It's fine.
So he's like, that's enough. That's all I need to know.
Well, they'd be too heavy because circus people
so-
are quite built, aren't they? They're
said
a bit
so-
heavier than the jockey because the jockeys are about 8.5 stone.
He said, brilliant. Get him down there and that, right? Anyway, the race happens.
He didn't want to meet him beforehand, he wasn't worried
No
about
point,
that.
not
No,
bothered.
no.
As far as he's concerned,
It's all sorted.
he's putting his money on it and what have you. Right?
Sure.
What happened is they were trying to make him put on the jockey outfit,
Yeah.
but for some reason it didn't fit that well.
Sleeves
And that-
too
it was-
short,
it was
legs too long.
It's that sort of problem.
Okay.
So they let him, like, you know, wear his stuff that he wore in the circus and that, because it's comfortable with that. He's happy with it. Do you know what I mean? That's what he's happy with. Anyway, race starts and what have you. This horse straight out of the trap and that, high speed, right? This jockey's got a really big grin on his face. He's loving it, right? Everyone's cheering, going, "Who is this? Who's this jockey?"
Yeah.
It's amazing. Never seen him before, and yet look at him.
But they can see his face clearly.
Anyway, gangster's happy in that because he's won.
Well, I just want to say the crowd can see the jockey, can they?
What?
The crowd can. I mean, it's
Yeah, but
face
he's
not-
so fast and what have
The
you.
blur, it's a blur, it's all a blur. Rick.
He's good at it. I mean, apparently he was
Right.
close to falling off, and people were like, he's gone, he's a goner.
Right.
He's got such a good reach that he managed to grab hold of
Oh,
the...
Sure.
good reach. Oh.
And
Right,
well, they
so-
could tell he was smiling. They could tell he was smiling, but they couldn't see the detail of his face. Is that right? Just
well,
to clarify
it's
that.
just, it's just blur and that. and
Sure,
just
but
saw
they
big
could tell he was
teeth.
smiling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they knew he was happy.
At the end of it, do you know, like, the winner sort of rides around the crowd bit,
Yeah.
doesn't he? Sort of, you know, show off and what have you.
Yeah,
And all the women are there, and do you know, like, women are all dolled up at these events.
sure.
They've all got big hats on.
Sometimes they got fruit on those hats.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Right.
One of the women,
In
one
the
of the
50s,
women,
particularly Carmen Miranda was very popular. Yeah.
one of the women had like you say, fruit and what have you on it,
Yeah.
little banana.
Right. Some kind of
They're
Cuban
not real.
woman.
They're not real though. The hats. They're
Not real fruit, is it?
No,
Yeah.
of course not. Never.
So
But I don't know
really-
who. I thought they wore those sort of kind of Cuban
Yeah, but
entertainment
even,
shows. I didn't realise they wore them
yeah,
at
but
events.
even if it's like a big event, you know, you might have a hat with fruit, and it's sort of joke, but it's fake fruit because it would perish.
Well, this jockey didn't understand that. He'd never seen false fruit.
I don't understand.
But why did the jockey suddenly? Why was he so desperate for fruit? I don't understand.
So anyway, meanwhile, the gangster's collecting his 500 quid winnings.
Yeah.
Right, he's over the moon.
Yeah.
He kicks off because of this woman with the fruit.
Yeah, I don't understand. I still don't understand why the jockey would go.
Everyone noticed. Jockey, little monkey fella.
Oh, that makes sense. If he was a monkey, that would make sense.
Yeah.
What year was this? Because I want to.
It was 1950s, and that's where the saying comes from about, do you know, like in Cockney slang, 500 quid is a monkey. He sort of put, he put a monkey on it.